Sooner Nation, Longhorn fans, welcome to episode 135 of the Bevo Podcast, the only podcast exclusively dedicated to covering the greatest rivalry in college football, the University of Texas and the University of Oklahoma. I'm here with my man, Kevin Miller. I am John Whitson. Kevin, had a hell of a day to be a college football fan yesterday. In a titanic matchup, Alabama somehow holds on to beat Georgia in the waning minutes of what seems like just an epic tilt, maybe the best SEC game we've seen in a really long time. Ole Miss goes down to Kentucky. Kansas State rolls against Oklahoma State. Utah goes down. But on the plains of Auburn, Alabama, the Oklahoma Sooners displayed a little sprinkling of Sooner magic. Texas fan, very familiar with Sooner magic. May I point out 2021 with Caleb Williams. That is Sooner magic. May I point out the only touchdown drive in the Red River Shootout to win the game in the last seconds, come from behind, 2023, Dylan Gabriel to Nick Anderson, Sooner magic. Kevin, you have been the victim. You've been victimized. You've been mistreated by Sooner magic. Do you agree that what you saw yesterday by the Oklahoma Sooners was in fact Sooner magic? Can you confirm that?
Well, based on how you guys define it, I would have to say so.
What does that even mean? The dumbest thing about how you guys define it. It's what exists. You saw it yesterday. We're 11 points down in the fourth quarter on the road. Our offense has done diddly doo-dah, and somehow we win 27-21. And you're saying that's just another football game.
No. It was absolutely not just another football game. What I saw was a really, really tough and gritty performance by you guys, and some absolute incompetence by Auburn and Hugh Freeze, who I'm always happy to see Hugh Freeze look miserable on the sidelines. So great win for you guys. But Auburn is the dumbest team I've ever seen. We'll get into it deeper, but Auburn is just...
No, that's exactly... Okay, first of all, shout out to Texas and Mississippi State, 35-13 win for Texas. We will break down that game. Arch goes for 2 touchdowns, a running touchdown, no interceptions. Clearly a quarterback controversy heading into Oklahoma. Clearly. This is probably the story of the
Here we go with the Sooner narrative. Here we go.
I think you start the true freshman or the redshirt freshman. If I'm Sark, I'm starting Arch. I think that's the better decision. We're going to talk about that game. We're also going to talk about Jaden Blue's 2 fumbles, which uncharacteristic for Jaden Blue. I thought that was really weird. You're only up like...
So do we.
You're up 7-6 before that touchdown to end the half. Is that right?
Yes, correct. And it was weird, man. It was weird because it never felt like we were going to lose the game. I never felt like that. But it was just so sloppy with those 2 turnovers, especially from him.
I just couldn't believe. So I go back and look at the box score to get ready for the show, and you had 1 punt all day.
Yes, it was a weird game, man.
You only have 2 scores in the entire first half, and you have 1 punt all day. That's a weird stat.
I'm gonna give Jeff Lebby credit. I think he's good. I know his situational play calling when he was with OU the last couple of years frustrated the heck out of y'all, but he is very creative and he had a really good game plan. I mean, their first drive was like 8 minutes.
I'm not giving Levy that much credit. They scored 6 points in the first. Come on.
No. I'm not giving him credit for being some kind of genius, but he had a plan and he stuck to it. Their plan was to keep the ball as long as possible and keep Arch Manning and the Texas offense off the field. The time of possession stats were like 18-7 in the first half. It was crazy.
It worked. It worked out in the first half for Mississippi State. But at the end of the day, Texas just grounded out. Like you just grinded out and win. You won like you're supposed to. Second half, you look like the number 1 team in the country. But I think Alabama is going to make an argument. Back to the Auburn game, though. let's start there. Is that okay with you? Can we start with Sooner Magic?
Let's get into it.
Okay, here was my prediction that Oklahoma was going to have a breath of fresh air with Michael Hawkins at quarterback. That going on the road was going to galvanize this team. And that our defense was going to stifle Auburn and force them into multiple turnovers, and we were going to win the game. I think I was 2 out of 3. Because when you look at the stats, this is what is just amazing about this game. Total yards, Auburn, 482 to 291. Passing was 338 to 161. Rushing 144 to 130. You talked about time of possession in the Texas game. How about time of possession for Auburn? 36 minutes versus 24 minutes time of possession for Auburn. A Hugh Freeze offense is typically high, fast-paced, lots of snaps. They did the same thing that you said Mississippi tried to do against you guys. They tried to slow it down. They tried to pound Jarquez Hunter.
It was a good game plan.
Peyton Thorne went 21 of 32 for 338 and 3 touchdowns. We'll talk about the interception here in a minute, but 338 with 3 touchdowns. Kevin Bowman was our leading tackler, but he felt out of place a couple of times. Our secondary looked shaky, getting beat a couple of times. McKenzie and Kip Lewis played out of his mind. Forget even the interception.
Even before the interception.
Before the interception. Kip Lewis was out of his mind. Second game in a row, Kevin. Where was Stutzman at? What's going on with Stutzman? I think it needs to be asked. 4 tackles, only 1 solo, and a number of broken tackles that Jarquez Hunter put on him. Ran through some arm tackles. Kevin, Auburn should have won the game. Clearly. They're at home. They're winning time of possession. They're winning the rushing battle. They're clearly winning the passing battle. You talk about a good game plan. They had a great game plan. I don't know what the heck happened, but somehow Michael Hawkins decides to turn this on. And Oklahoma does play their best quarter of football all year. The fourth quarter was by far and away the best quarter of football they have played all year. Starting with the touchdown run. Let's just start there. How fast did Michael Hawkins look to you?
Oh, man, he was shot out of a cannon. I mean, he was incredibly explosive. 4.4.
You saw where they clocked the speed, right?
Yeah.
He was 4.4 with pads on, outrunning Auburn secondary, who had the angle on him.
It was electric.
That run, I mean, it woke me up off the chair, right? I'm not saying sleepy, but it's 2:30 in the afternoon. You're a little you're just coming off of Kentucky, Ole Miss, and you're like, okay, I'm settling in for and then bam, touchdown, and you're like, what the heck just happened? We haven't seen that all year. But then we went largely stagnant. Okay.
Yeah, they did a good job of keeping him in the pocket. They did not let him get outside and run after that one play.
Did you see that in most situations they had 2 spies on him?
2 spies. I thought it was brilliant.
That is some major respect for a quarterback's legs to put 2 spies. The problem is we didn't take advantage of it in the passing or the running game until the very end. The big thing for Oklahoma offensively was penalties. Okay? We had a big pickup in the first quarter to Bauer Sharp, who I actually think Bauer Sharp might have had his best game. 4 for 43, 10.5 yards or 10.8 yards per catch. I thought he looked pretty good though. But the Jake Roberts, it was like a pick play.
Yeah.
That was the worst selling job in the history of pick play. It was terrible.
Just act like you're running a route. Turn your shoulder hard and look back towards the ball. You got to do better than that.
I think he could have just ran past the guy.
Correct.
Because the route was
cross his path. Make him slow down just a second.
The route took care of itself. It was a really nice play design. We caught it right up the middle. So that was killer. But then there were 2 penalties, one in the third quarter, one in the fourth quarter, that they were penalties, they were really, really weak. Jaquez Petaway, who didn't have a great game, much to my dismay, because I thought this kid was going to step up. Still has time to. But Jaquez Petaway has an illegal block in the third quarter, like a block in the back. This was on a big pickup.
It was the optics on it. He didn't. He barely touched him, but he extended the arms. It wasn't a hard push. He barely touched him. But the fact that his arms were extended,
I know,
and the defender's momentum was already leaning. So when the ref sees two arms extended and a player falling forward, then they throw the flag.
Again, just the
optics there.
It was the optics, and just be cognizant of what's happening. Whatever. And then we're running the ball. We've made a big play with Bauer Sharp. This is in the fourth quarter. We've made a big play with Bauer Sharp, and we started moving the ball. And dude, we hit. Finally, Gavin Sawchuk has a little run, picks up like 9 yards, I think, and they get Jake Roberts for holding. And even the announcers were like,
yeah, like that one.
That was a really, he got him up by the neck. And then he's like, or maybe he didn't. I thought that penalty really set us back because I thought there was some momentum. Obviously, didn't hurt us in the end. But there was a couple times where you started to see OU's offense maybe think about clicking, and then you made mistakes, or in a case of a bad call, some things happened that kind of rewound that.
Then, of course, you had the Bauer Sharp penalty on the illegal motion when he's going forward at the snap when you hit the touchdown to Barnes in the red zone. I called that penalty as it happened.
It was bad. You're right. I didn't even write that one down. You're right. So the problem that one of the key common denominators there is tight ends. And Joe John's our tight end coach as well as our co-offensive coordinator. I look at Jake Roberts and Bauer Sharp and think we need to be getting more out of them. I thought Bauer had a good game, and I liked the increased involvement, but they got to play a cleaner game, and we got to count on them a little bit more. Offensively, though, when we needed it, huge play to J.J. Hester. Hasn't caught a ball all year.
Yeah, I'm like, where did this come from?
Oh, my God. He goes 3 for 86 for 28.7.
Good for him, man, stepping up when the team needs it.
They had to have it. And then Barnes punches it in. It was huge. Okay, now let's talk about, obviously, the play of the game. Offensive play of the game is a 66-yard pass because we had to have it. But the play of the game is a classic Brent Venables stunt blitz, zone blitz. I'm not even sure what you call it, where it looks like everybody's coming, and he drops one guy back, right?
It's one guy. Like a simulated pressure, they call it.
Too. Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah.
So but that's a classic. I remember him doing that back with OU, in his first go around as defensive coordinator, where guys, you just never knew where that blitz was coming.
You never know who's coming.
Sometimes it'll be an interior lineman that drops into coverage, or but Kip Lewis played it perfectly. The ball was tipped. Arm Mason maybe might have tipped it just a little bit.
Oh, was it tipped? I didn't realize it was tipped. I thought he just threw it right into his hands.
Go back and watch it. I will go back and watch as well.
Okay.
I feel like there was a little tippage.
Okay.
Which sounds a little inappropriate. I don't know if tippage is the right word. I find myself feeling uncomfortable saying that. So I'm not going to say tippage anymore. Tippage is.
Say it was a slight tip. It's fine.
Even a slight tip.
How about deflection? How about that? A slight deflection of the ball.
Yes, let's go with that. Not tippage or a slight deflection. I think there was a slight deflection. Anyway, we're making light of an amazing play. So he catches that thing and he rumbles for it. I mean, listen, dude, I think the backside receiver made a heck of an effort to try to get him down.
Yeah, and that was a true freshman for them too. Who he really did.
Was that KLS?
No, that was Cam Coleman.
Cam Coleman, number 8,
5-star guy.
Here. Look, there's a theme to this weekend, by the way. We're when we get to the breakdown, and even a little bit in your game, there's a theme to this weekend. True freshman receivers are unbelievable across the country right now.
They're balling out.
My God. We're going to talk about Georgia, but Ryan Wilson, are you kidding me? Okay.
Ryan Williams, he's on.
Ryan Williams. Holy crap. Okay, anyway, back to OU. We get that, dude. It's over. The game is over.
Yeah, it's over. It is over. They were never going to score after that.
Auburn has no chance. Look, Hawkins, again, selling out, this time securing the 2-point conversion it's just the kind of stuff the team needs to see. They just need to see it. That's like, I don't even know how to explain it, man. It's like Ben Roethlisberger, tough guy kind of stuff that just gets everybody fired up. Defense, at that point, then the defense is just locked in. R. Mason Thomas, again, in the fourth quarter, best defender on the field, getting to him. The sack by Spears Jennings, which was just perfectly dialed up to he lit that kid up. He lit Thorne up. And then Schmidt comes through with a big-time field goal to kind of seal the deal. And we walk away with the win. It was improbable. Okay? It was an improbable win. Nothing looked like it was going right. I'm still not quite sure how we won it, but we won it. We're 4-1. We get a bye, and we face the University of Texas. Anything you saw in the game give you pause going into Red River Shootout week?
No, I would rather both teams go in with wins than one team go in with a loss, especially if you guys would have lost this game 2 losses in a row, get that wounded animal. And, neither team does great as heavy favorites. This game is usually at its best when it's a closer spread, or at least when teams have momentum going forward, right? We've seen bad teams lose, or we've seen bad teams win this game, right? We've seen Texas win with Charlie Strong and with Herman, or the bad Mac Brown team in 2013. So I like it when the teams have some momentum going into it. But it doesn't even matter, even if it's always going to be a tough game when you go into the Cotton Bowl against your arch rival. So it's going to be a fist fight for 4 quarters, like it usually is.
Have you seen the spread going into it?
No, I have not.
You want to take a guess?
Texas minus 5?
6.5. Texas minus 6.5.
Okay.
Look, I think Michael Hawkins is pretty legit, and I kind of think they need to let him air it out a little bit more, because he's clearly got an arm. He doesn't put the ball in a lot of trouble either. He never threw a pass where I'm like, oh, that's an interception, or we got lucky there. I felt like he was putting the ball in good spots. I got to tell you, dude, the inside zone run still is perplexing me that we continue to run that. Is that just stubbornness on Luttrell's part, or is he trying to keep the defense honest?
Well, I think you have to at least keep the defense honest, right?
At the clip of 3.4 yards a carry, though? My God,
you
Kevin.
do. You have to, man. You got to at least have some sort of threat there. Then, if not, the play action won't work. Also, Hawkins, I don't think you guys are scared to let Hawkins air it out. I just think the receivers you had out there, there's no real separation.
Yeah, that's still an issue.
That's the issue. And it's just the guys you have out there, right? Brendan Thompson and J.J. Hester, who, again, had a really good performance, seeing that he hasn't made an impact all year. So shout out to him for that. But, I don't think you just have the dudes to be able to really open it up with a downfield passing game right now. Maybe Deion Burks comes back for Texas, and that's different with his speed. But I thought you called the plays that you have the ability to have success with. And the thing about Hawkins, he wasn't great throwing the football, but he wasn't bad. And we talked about this. And I'm not
okay. He's okay. Yeah, I agree.
Here's the thing: you're not turning the ball over. That's the only difference with him, and obviously in the dynamic running ability.
Well, but Jackson had that big run against Tulane. Jackson's an athlete.
Yeah, he's a great athlete.
He's not Michael Hawkins' speed, but
he's dynamic.
But you're 100% right. There was just never, like I said, there was never a feeling that we got away with something, or it just was always the ball was either in the right spot or just was not really put out there.
And like I texted you during the game, it's okay to punt the football. Punting is fine.
Especially the SEC. We're seeing that in the SEC.
Punt the ball. It's okay. You just can't
especially with our punter. 5 punts, 238 yards, 47.6 yards, Elzinga.
Yeah, that's all SEC type stuff.
When you're winning in the SEC, when you're surviving in the SEC, to have a dude that can flip the field and you play them. But I got to tell you, our defense, it was not as dominant as I expected. Now,
this is by far your worst defensive performance of the year.
Now, I don't know what the announcers were thinking. It was Tessitore and Jordan Palmer. Is that who called the game for us?
Yes. Usually it's Jesse Palmer who's in that crew, but it was Jordan Rogers in this one.
Oh, Jordan Rogers. You're right.
Yeah. Usually it's Jesse Palmer that does it with Tessitore. It's usually those two. I'm not sure what Jesse Palmer had going on.
Probably some bachelorette or something. Some
probably,
bachelorette.
Yeah.
Golden bachelorette or something. Their argument was that Auburn's offense, if you had watched Auburn games, that Auburn's offense was actually very, very good. But the turnovers was what was holding them back.
Yes.
I will admit I did not watch every Auburn game. So I don't know if that's true. But they looked very effective and efficient. And when they slowed it down, dude, listen, I really feel like, and I'm going to say this, and then I want you to speak to what I'm kind of saying is, I feel like if they'd have stayed with Jarquez Hunter,
they win the football game.
They win that game. You were talking about their undisciplinedness, is that the right word?
Just a lack of discipline.
Lack of discipline. You were texting me the entire game. It was driving you nuts. What did you see from Auburn that just really stood out in terms of just lack of discipline, lack of smart football?
Well, just an example. You guys are punting. They're punting to you, and then the gunner, after your guy calls fair catch, Peyton Bowen, and just drills him for a 15-yard penalty. It's this kind of stuff I used to see. And I'm saying this out of experience, right? I lived through the Charlie Strong and Tom Herman era. So I'm used to seeing undisciplined, just bizarre mistakes in clutch moments. Also, with the quarterback, Peyton Thorne, who played really well. But there were times where, again, you guys have seen this with Jackson Arnold, the decision-making on the RPO. When it's set up for a run, and for some reason he tries to play hero, pulls the ball when he should hand it off, and makes a throw into traffic. That happened multiple times. That's why I could see that. Well, first of all, in our predictions late last week, I said that you guys were going to get a defensive touchdown in this game. I don't know if you remember me saying that.
You did say it.
You guys are going to get a defensive touchdown. You did. Just the decision-making on some of those RPOs in the fourth quarter.
Well, to your point, when he didn't throw it into traffic, he threw it in the dirt because him and receivers weren't on the same page coming out of that RPO.
Correct. It just wasn't working. And the running game was working fine. You're running 4 or 5 yards a carry against this defense. You got to take that all day long.
They were opening up
anything.
I don't know what I don't know what OU's defense was doing or what Auburn was doing in particular, but especially on the left side of their offensive line, they had some big holes.
Yes.
It was really, and we haven't seen that all year from OU.
No.
Where we're just getting
couldn't handle you guys.
Where we're just getting gashed, and we got gashed, especially in that third quarter. I'm like, oh, that's what made me think we had no hope in winning this game, because if we can't stop the run, they're going to do what Tennessee did to us and just run the ball out of the game. Take the air out of the game, run the ball, and it'd be done. Thank goodness they didn't do that.
Also, with some of the decision makings there, and I think as a coach, Hugh Freeze at this point, if the quarterback is not making the right reads on the RPO, then stop calling RPOs and just start calling run plays.
Correct.
Right? Take it
Oklahoma's learned that lesson the hard way.
Correct. Take that responsibility out of the quarterback's hands if they can't handle it. And I will say, and I know you guys have been critical of Quinn Ewers, I understand that, but he is pretty smart when it comes to running the RPO. He will hand the ball off no problem. And when it's there, he'll throw it. He had 24 passes straight. And when it comes to the RPO, he's money with it.
I'm not saying Peyton Thorne is selfish, but you felt like he thought he maybe needed to make a play. Quinn is very patient. At least he's been patient this year and most of last year. Last year, he was maybe his first year, you wouldn't say that same
thing.
The
first year, he's still figuring it out.
But he matured into it. Where I agree. He's patient and makes the right read. I mean, I see Quinn as a little better than a game manager. And I mean that in a good way. He just manages the game, takes what the defense gives. And
yes, it's what playing quarterback is. You make plays when you have to. You take over when you have to.
Yeah.
But you want to be able to run the offense, right? Hero ball it's not sustainable.
I tell you, when I look at Oklahoma, we've got 2 weeks. 2 weeks until the biggest game of the year. I don't care about Tennessee. I don't care about Alabama. I don't care about Ole Miss. I don't care about LSU. This is absolutely the biggest game on our schedule. And it does 100%. Not matter. 100%. We have 2 weeks. You have 2 weeks. We collectively, you and I, have 2 weeks. The teams have 2 weeks to get ready for this matchup. We better figure something out defensively, because if your Sark is looking at the game plan that Hugh Freeze put together, we might be in trouble defensively, whether it's running the ball or whether it's passing the ball. Kenai Walker was getting beat on that side. Now, was the safety leaving him out? I don't know, and I don't know enough about it. So I will say on Kenai Walker's side, they were getting beat pretty consistently. Woody Washington, he's not doing it for me necessarily. And then even Des Malone, I don't know. It was just a little frustrating. Now, was it that at the end of the day, they only allowed 21 points? I think you allow 21 points, you should be able to win the game like we did. That's number one. Number two, Stutzman. Dude, I need you, bro. Like, you are the Butkus award-winning finalist, or I mean, Butkus finalist, whatever, for a reason. And you're taking yourself out of the game right now, the last 2 weeks. Against Texas, it has to be the best game you've ever played if we're going to beat Texas. Offensively, we need Tatum back, and we need to clean up the penalties.
You also need Deion Burks back, too.
Well, let's face it, dude. If we could get Deion Burks back, and God forbid, Nick Anderson back, it could be a little different. But
it should be.
I really want Taylor
Tatum back too.
I really want Taylor Tatum back too. If I could get those three back, and all of a sudden I say we have a good chance of winning.
It's a cotton bowl, man. It's a cotton bowl. Of course, you have a chance. Everybody has a chance.
You still need dudes. You still need dudes.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, so look, we both had OU winning, so we can check that mark off the list. I don't know if you want to know what your record was.
We'll get into it. You can go ahead.
No, it's okay. We both had OU. We'll come back to it at the end when we recap. Anyway, it was great. It was great.
It was a fun game. It was a great game. And like I said, it seemed like it was over. It seemed like, hey, Auburn had a really good performance. They were running it well. Their defense was playing well.
Oklahoma's
game plan was well,
yep.
Right? And like I said, I was surprised how they were moving the football on your defense. And it was nothing like no massive. I mean, they had the big touchdown run, but it was just they were just grinding it out. 10 yards here, 5 yards here, 3 yards here. Just
we've seen the ups and downs of a college football season, and we know, both you and I know, that wins like this can potentially galvanize a team.
Yes.
When you play complementary football and every single facet of the game contributed to the win, special teams, defense, and finally offense, it's huge because all the thoughts now are in a positive space, right? We're all moving forward. And now you're just setting yourself up for Texas. I mean, I don't know you don't need any more motivation than that, right? So you're coming off a win. Texas, we get a couple guys back. I'm saying we got a chance, Kevin. 2 weeks out.
2 weeks.
I'm saying we have a chance. Against the University of Texas, takes care of business against Mississippi State. Arch goes 26 of 31, very efficient. 324 yards, 10.5 yards, a completion, 2 touchdowns. Most importantly for Arch, 0 interceptions. He also gets 33 on the ground with a touchdown. He is a nice little athlete. He really, really is. Trey Wisner, did he go 13? He went 13 for 108. Is that right?
Something like that. He went, let's see. Give me 1 second.
I think he went 13 for 108. I'm trying to read my own writing. 13 for 108.
13 for 88, actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
13 for 88. Jaden Blue, 6 for 36. The problem with Jaden Blue is he had the 2 fumbles. So walk us through these turnovers. Why was Texas stagnant? Was it just turnovers in the first half? And what do you take away from this game?
Well, it was a couple things, right? The Mississippi State's game plan was we're going to keep the ball as long as we can, even if we're not really moving it. I mean, they're running 2 yards here, 3 yards here, and then it'll be 3rd and 4, and they'll pick up 4. And then they'll run the play clock down. Same thing. The time of possession stats, I mean, Texas hardly had the ball in the first half. It was wild. I think they had 4 minutes of possession in the first quarter.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So they were just going to take the air out of the game. They did a good job with keeping Texas off the field. And Texas was moving the ball. The first Jaden Blue fumble was deep, and it was in the red zone. Right?
You can't do that, though. You can't do that against good teams.
No, exactly. And that's why
you can recover against Mississippi State. There's 3 teams left on your schedule. You can't do that against.
Our fans are projecting into our next game. You can't fumble in the Cotton Bowl. The momentum shifts are monumental in that game, right? It's fine against Mississippi State because our talent level just completely dwarfs theirs. Then halftime, we go up 14-6 and a halftime, but we get the ball back.
That was a great throw. That was a great throw by Arch, though, to be fair to Arch. When he needed it, when he needed that throw, that was a big-time ball he put on DeAndre Moore.
Yeah, we're really excited about the future with him, man. I mean, he just continues to prove his talent and his ability. And with the experience, he becomes a very dangerous quarterback. So we're excited about the future with him. He did such a great job throwing the ball again. He had one throw that was iffy as far as a potential turnover against a better defense. But other than that, man, he was lights out.
Was your what was the deal with your ultra talented receiver Ryan Wingo? Did he play? Did I miss him on the stat sheet?
He did play. He got hurt though. He only had 2 receptions for 8 yards. What happened was there was a play, Arch was getting rushed and it was an incomplete pass, but it was into traffic, and when he went to catch it, he got rolled up on.
Uh-oh.
And he was out most of he actually ended up coming back, which I was surprised by, in the fourth quarter. But at that point, they were just running the ball.
So he's healthy. He's healthy for Texas.
I'm assuming he is, since he came back into the game. But we'll see if he's limited. Thankfully, there's 2 weeks to get.
That was too much
ready
for Oklahoma. Okay.
Hopefully, we get our running backs, other running backs.
We have to bring up. Well, let's talk about your defense real quick. Gabinda, 8 tackles, 6 solo. Jalen Gilbo, 8 tackles, 5 solo. Anthony Hill Jr., 6 tackles, a sack, 2 tackles for loss. Let's talk about Colin Simmons, the true freshman.
Let's do that.
No, hold on just a second. Hold on. I know what. Come on. Now just get ready. 7 tackles, 6 solo, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss. The guy's an absolute stud. I have no idea how in the hell we're going to block him in 2 weeks. However, your dude doesn't need to be putting up bulletin board material as a true freshman. He hasn't earned that, Kevin.
Okay, enlighten me here.
Stats against Mississippi State. Stats against Mississippi State do not mean anything when you're going to play OU in the Cotton Bowl. He is out of his damn mind. And the seniors on your team better get a hold of him.
Okay, hold on. Let our audience know, what did he say?
Let me get the quote. Let me find it.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I've not heard what he said either.
I tweeted the video. I tweeted the video to you yesterday.
Okay, yeah.
This is the bulletin board material. Let's see. No, that's not the one I want. He said, "How do you feel about playing OU next week?" And he said, I feel like we're going to dominate them.
Oh, kid. He's just a kid, man.
Listen, dude.
He's just a kid.
He's a freshman. He's a great player, and he is going to be a great player. But he cannot be putting bulletin board material.
Yeah, you don't want to put a target on your back. You don't want to put an unnecessary target on your back. Yeah.
Listen, our offensive line is not your offensive line. Our offensive line isn't our offensive line from a year ago. I get all of that. At the same time, these are proud athletes, and a lot of them are a little bit older than this 18-year-old kid is.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I love it.
I
love it.
He's just a kid. Now, if Johnny Barron said it, you know what I mean? Somebody who's a fifth-year senior would be like, whoa, bro. But
dude, they wouldn't say it.
They wouldn't. That's what I'm saying. It would be more of a bulletin board material thing it's still going to be used that way. And it should.
I think Colin Simmons has started the bulletin board. I think he has started the bulletin board.
Yes.
That's one of the best.
I love that kid.
God, he is. Listen, I question his word choices. But as far as an edge rusher, holy crap. How good is this guy going to be, Kevin?
I mean, he looks like a young Von Miller.
Whoa. You think so? You think he's that good?
I mean, to be a true freshman, I'm just projecting him going forward.
All right, I hate
projecting him going forward. He's got 4 sacks already. He's got 4 sacks in 5 games.
I hate it. I hate every second of it. Now, listen, we've had R. Mason Thomas start to come on.
So he's been fantastic.
So we've got some edge momentum, and I feel good about our edges. Downs played okay. Still no PJ Adebari. He's like missing in action. I don't know what's going on there. Trace Ford looks really good. He was out of position a couple of times in pass support, it looked like, that BV got after him. But still, I think he's having a really good year. So I'm not discounting our edges, but Colin Simmons is a freak.
He is. My only concern with him
is that he talks. Is that he runs his mouth.
No,
is that he runs his mouth.
No. Is that he gets up the field.
Please do that against Hawkins. Please do it against Hawkins.
So he'll have to be a little bit more disciplined, or they have to have another somebody else spying.
This is our third OU Texas together in this podcast. We haven't had consecutive bye weeks like this, right? Like
we never have
coincidental bye weeks, right? This is amazing. To have 2 weeks to get ready for what is our Christmas and Thanksgiving and 4th of July and Labor Day all rolled into one with a little Memorial Day. I don't even know what to do, dude. I don't know. This will be the longest 2 weeks of my life.
Yeah.
And the fastest.
Correct. Well, let's just enjoy it, right? The season is already flying by. I'm just like, I can't wait for this. I'm just gonna enjoy Mississippi State, because before we know it, it'll be the off season already.
If yesterday is what SEC football is, I don't know that I can handle it.
It's gonna be such a bumpy ride.
My God! All right, dude. Listen, you picked you picked Texas to cover. You were wrong.
Big time.
You were wrong, so that is an L. So you have 1 win and 1 L. I got 2 wins. Let's talk about the other games. We got to talk Bama, Georgia. We have to talk Bama, Georgia. In the week that was, we both picked Bama to cover the 5. I think they were 5.5-point dogs at home, which is just unheard of.
Was it 5? It wasn't 5.5, was it?
I don't even know. They were underdogs, though. They were home dogs.
They were.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I have noticed this more this year than maybe any other year. But the scripted plays, the plays that coaches draw up prior to the game and then execute them the entire week up to the game were never more on full display than what Kalen DeBoer drew up for Jalen Milroe to run against Georgia. Those set of plays that got them a 28-0 lead was one of the more impressive offensive feats I have seen in a very long time.
Yeah, there was nothing Georgia could do. Got them on their hill. It was wild.
Jalen Milroe looks like a different quarterback under DeBoer. And he was good under Saban, but not great. Not great though, Kevin. Come on, not great. But man, he is pretty darn great right now. And then, like I mentioned, Ryan Williams, a true freshman receiver. We talk about your guy Ryan Wingo. We talk about the Coleman kid from Auburn. There's going to be some other ones that we've got that we're going to talk about. But
real quick, let me stop you there. Not only is he a freshman, he's a 17-year-old freshman. He should be a senior in high school.
Stop it.
Trust me, Texas. We tried, man.
He's the one that made the bumbling, fumbling catch as well as the game winner, right?
Yes, that is right.
If you don't know what I'm talking about with the bumbling, fumbling, it got tipped or whatever, and he tipped it. To have the wherewithal to still come down with that and then pick up another 5 or 8 yards or whatever he picked up, and then to just forget it. Okay, Kevin, how does Georgia, though, even get back in this game?
Man, just incredible mental toughness. Because to be on the road and be down 28-0, most teams, maybe even our teams, 28-0?
We were down 28-3 once. Remember that?
Well, that's the Cotton Bowl, though. That's not on the road.
Well, I'm just saying. I remember it. It was in 2021, Kevin. It was Caleb Williams.
I remember it.
Casey Thompson played a great game that game too, dude.
He did.
In a wasted effort.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, building program. We got our revenge, though.
Yeah, 49. Congratulations. Against, I don't even know who our quarterback was, but whatever. The trash talk's a little early. It's a little premature, Colin Simmons. Anyway, Georgia, you're right.
It's never too early.
Well, first of all, that's 100% right. And I just can't get away. I know we're talking about Georgia, Alabama, but you do understand it's the Cotton Bowl in less than 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're well aware.
It's game week. It's our next game. Oh, so there's no need to.
I don't know I can handle it. I don't. Anyway, but by the way, back to Georgia. They're down 28-0, but there's a lot of time left.
But, my concern for Georgia was I didn't think they had the dudes on the outside at wide receiver to be able to make this a game. That was my concern when they got down. I don't love their receiving corps. If you look at Alabama's and you compare it to Georgia's, you would think you would take Alabama's all day. So They had guys step up who I didn't think were capable of stepping up. Carson Beck, up and down game for him, right? You can see the talent throwing the football, but the turnovers, man, were killer. Those turnovers were bad.
That's a bad interception in the first half. When you're down and you cannot set them up for yet another score. Were they down 14 when he threw that one to the?
Yeah, it was kind of getting close, maybe 15, something like that.
Yeah, you just can't do that.
Not at all. But again, though, just give them credit. Their defense played much better, especially in the second half. Right? Milroe wasn't able to get loose running the football. Did a better job of spying him.
Well, and that's what I was talking about earlier, right? It's like you got those scripted plays, and teams are just not ready for whatever those. But man, when they can make adjustments, when Kirby Smart can make adjustments, you can tell what's happening there, right?
Yeah.
The problem is it was just even though they took the lead, that's just too many points to overcome on the road in the SEC. And then you add in it's Alabama. I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah, but give Alabama credit, right? Because, when momentum completely shifts like that and then you lose a big lead, it's hard to come and get it back. They went and got it right back.
Oh, it was a great ball by Milroe. Great catch and run.
It's what he did after the catch. First of all, he had to adjust it. Ball was underthrown, intentionally underthrown. But he goes back, catches it, and then there's two defenders there, two Georgia defenders.
Yeah.
And for him to do that stop spin thing and just accelerate and outrun them.
So in the first half and frankly through much of the third quarter, I'm thinking to myself, well, Texas is going to roll Georgia. Regardless of what happens in the Cotton Bowl, Texas is going to roll Georgia. I mean, clearly Georgia's not worth a flip. And then they just start pounding away and chipping away. And I'm like, okay. This team has a little more grit. It's got a little more grit than maybe I anticipated.
Yeah.
What I anticipate, this is like 3 weeks away, but what I anticipate is Sark is going to have, much like DeBoer did, a script of plays that's going to make it really, really hard on Georgia. But if they can hang in there.
Yeah, can you maintain for 4 quarters against that team?
Will their athletes I mean, look, y'all got athletes too, but they got Georgia athletes, right? I mean,
they've recruited. They're one of the few teams that have recruited better than Texas has.
Yeah. And so that we'll put that off in the distance. But my initial thought watching that game was, I mean, Texas is going to roll. If Georgia can't put points on the board, like they have a chance. But then they started putting points on the board, and it kind of came out of, I won't say it came out of nowhere, but it felt like it almost kind of came out of nowhere.
For me, it did. Yeah, with those again, we never talk about their receivers with Georgia, and that it seemed like that was their weakest spot on the field, really. And
we both had Bama, so that's a win. The other two games we picked real quick, and then I want to talk about another game. I want to get back to the SEC as quick as we can. Notre Dame took care of business against Louisville at home. Riley Leonard.
He looked pretty good, man. As good as you could hope for.
We're starting to call them good Riley and bad Riley. This was good Riley, and they looked really good. So now they've had 2 wins against ranked teams and a loss to Northern Illinois. Like I don't know what's going on there. But you picked Louisville, and I picked Notre Dame to cover. Win for me. It was a 6.5-point spread, and they won by 7. That's what I'm talking about. And then the other game was Kansas State. Did you have Oklahoma? You didn't have Oklahoma State winning the Big 12, did you?
Oh, I absolutely did. And they look horrible.
They look terrible. And they are so sick of Alan Bowman. I mean, Oklahoma State is so sick of Bowman. He did go for 364 yards and a touchdown, but it took him 26 of 50 to get there. You just can't do that. And then Avery Johnson, that was his best game of the year.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's an Oklahoma State defense that he looked so good against or what, but Avery Johnson.
That's a talented quarterback who's developing. That's what that is.
We both had K-State. That takes you to 3-2 on the week. But guess what? This guy, perfect 5-0. So you are 12 of 14 on the year. I am 15-11. 4 games over 500.
What the heck is going on here? What is this?
I've never been this far. We've done this now. Like I said, 3 years. I've never been this. I don't think I've ever been this high over 500, like at any point in the season. So I'm feeling pretty cocky right now. All right, we got to get back to the SEC, though.
Real quick. Okay, Ollie Gordon.
No, go ahead.
15 for 76. Decent game, but not Ollie Gordon. Ollie Gordon, that should not be your best game of the year. 5.1 yards a carry. That's his highest yards per carry for the season.
Well, and especially in a losing effort.
Correct. DJ Giddens for Kansas State, 15 carries for 187 yards. That is 12.5 yards a pop. Not looking good up in Stillwater right
now. No. I think here's the problem. Okay, so there's a lot to talk about in the Big 12. We've got some time, but I got to get back to the SEC, Kevin. I got to get back to the SEC. And then we're going to go back to the Big 12. I promise. Kentucky beats Ole Miss at home.
Bad loss. It's a bad loss for Ole Miss, for a team that has national championship aspirations.
Well, here's the problem for Ole Miss. Not only do you lose 20-17 and miss a field goal to push it into overtime, but you have 4 out of your next 6 on the road in a schedule that includes LSU, Oklahoma, and Georgia. Now, LSU and Oklahoma aren't necessarily looking like world beaters, but they're every bit as effective as Kentucky. They're every bit as effective as Kentucky. And I think Kentucky's good. Like, we've seen Kentucky now, man up against Georgia, but they got blown out against South Carolina. We know what they're about defensively, all these things. But LSU and Oklahoma I think they're better than Kentucky. I don't know. I think so.
Yeah, you're better than Kentucky.
Listen to this, dude. Ole Miss outgained them, but had a fumble and 8 penalties for 53 yards and lost the time of possession 40 to 20 minutes. So another one of these, 2/3 of the game was in Kentucky's hands. That's what SEC, we're starting to see what SEC football is about. When these games start to matter, that time of possession plays a huge part of the game. Even for Mississippi State, the only reason they stayed in the game was time of possession, right? We saw it with the Texas game. And it just speaks to how in the hell Oklahoma even won the game, lose the time of possession so bad. But whatever. If you're Ole Miss fan, do you ever let Lane paint the end zones with the sip? Or are you done with that?
Yeah, get out of here with that.
That's gonna be great. I thought it was kind of weak. I thought it was a joke. Like, I didn't think they really painted him that.
Yeah, the sip. How about just Ole Miss? Ole Miss is fine. Like, just call yourself Ole Miss.
I worry about Ole Miss in their playoff run now because you still got some big teams to play. So I'm just not 100% sure. Other places in the SEC, A&M with a bit. I'm going to say it, a big win against Arkansas. They're now A&M stays ranked 21-17. Arkansas with the turnovers though, bro. Like, they've got to stop turning the ball over. That's what hurt them against Oklahoma State. Now hurt them against A&M. You're going to go play Arkansas. They're probably going to have a perfect game and not turn the ball over at all. You know what I mean? But it's
yeah. You know how that goes.
LSU. I'm surprised at LSU. They win 42-10, but it's against South Alabama. I don't care about the game. I'm surprised they're still ranked 14th. Like, when I saw they were ranked that high, that surprised me. I don't think, and they might bump up one or two now after some losses. I don't think they're that good of a football team. Do you think LSU deserves to be in a top 12 ranked position right now?
I think it's more of a benefit of the doubt being an SEC team with that record. Close loss against USC. So we'll see. It'll all play itself out, man. That's why I'm not getting. I've heard people asking if Texas is still going to be ranked number 1 today. I don't care. It'll all play itself out.
Okay, a game outside of the SEC, but one that really mattered, and then we're going to spend a little bit of time on the Big 12 because what a fascinating conference. To your point, you called this a couple years ago, but anyway, before we get to that, in the ACC on Thursday night, Miami beats Virginia Tech 38-34. Kevin, there is no freaking way there was enough evidence to overturn that touchdown in the end zone. It just wasn't.
No,
you couldn't no idea how you overturn that call. I mean, maybe it didn't need to be the call, but there was no evidence to overturn it.
Correct. Yeah, you just couldn't see the ball.
Conspiracy, Kevin? Conspiracy for the U?
I don't know if it's maybe.
What?
Maybe, yeah.
If I'm Virginia Tech, it was weird. It's a conspiracy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'd be livid if I was him.
I mean,
absolutely livid. Yeah, you just couldn't see the ball.
If they called it no touchdown, I don't think that there's evidence to give them the score. But there's definitely not enough to overturn. I think Virginia Tech got royally screwed on what was a pretty epic play and a really good game. All right, back to the Big 12. We're talking about the Big 12. Back to the Big 12. Arizona beats Utah 23-10. Did you see that coming?
No, not at all. The way that Arizona has looked very inconsistent, and Utah's looked great. They, went down to Stillwater and spanked Oklahoma State, and Cam Rising did not play, right?
Dude, listen, it's just turning into last year all over again.
It really is. Yeah.
With he's questionable. It's a game time decision.
Yeah. We're gonna assume he's out until we see him on a football field.
It is a tiresome. And then I hear Heather Dinich breaking it down on ESPN, and she's like, "Well, the committee will take into effect that Cam Rising didn't play." Well, the committee needs to take into the effect that Cam Rising never plays. Like, I don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, they're gonna get the Florida State treatment from last year. Your quarterback's not there. Okay, you're out.
I think you need to be. You can't be losing to Arizona. Like, I'm sorry. Like
at home.
But that being said, this is kind of what the Big 12. We kind of thought especially thought the Big 12 was going to be about.
It's going to be a fun conference. Just fun. Yeah. I don't know if there are any great teams in that conference, but it's going to be fun.
Here's one that's undefeated. BYU goes down to Waco. My boy Joe Young making the road trip to Baylor to see the Mormons versus the Baptists. They laid it on them, much like kind of a very Alabama Georgia way, but then held on. Got an interception late to close the deal. 34-28. BYU beats Baylor. BYU is 4-0.
5-0.
5-0. Ranked 22 going into the week. Is BYU for real, or is this just a function of the Big 12?
I mean, they look very physical as we expected. We'll see, man. That Utah game is looking pretty salty coming up soon.
Well, yeah, but not as salty as it did before they lost to Arizona.
Yeah, but I mean, that just gives them more of a chance, right? You have to feel excited if you're BYU. It's like, okay, we can beat these guys. They've got Arizona next. They got Oklahoma State in Provo. They go to Central Florida, then they go to Utah November 9th.
Okay, let's talk about Central Florida. Your boy Dion pulls another one out. They won 48-21.
Yeah, this game was not close.
Shedeur Sanders looked like, I don't know, Michael Vick throwing the ball. I don't even know. I'm trying to think of he's just slinging it all over the yard. Everybody's catching the ball. Travis Hunter with another interception, a few yards short of 100 yards receiving.
And a touchdown.
Will Colorado be ranked?
I think they should be.
I don't disagree. You go on against a UCF team on the road and win in that manner. I mean, we're talking about LSU being in the top 12. I think Colorado could be 25. I got no problem with that.
Yeah. Travis Hunter, give the man the Heisman, man. He's the best player in college football. I don't care. Give him that trophy.
In a game nobody watched because it was on Peacock, Ohio State wins. In an incredibly boring Big Ten game, Penn State beats Illinois. I got to tell you, that football is so bad to watch in the Big Ten. It just, when those teams get going, it is so bad. Thank God that Oregon had a game against UCLA that was more like a Pac-12 game because at least that was fun to watch. Clemson beat Stanford. They are holding on to – Clemson is interesting. They're now ranked again. People are starting to feel good again. It's a really, really interesting team to keep an eye on.
Their offense is really looking like –
it's starting to click.
Yeah. And Cade Klubnik looks like a former 5-star quarterback now.
So, and your boy Miller Moss, coached by Lincoln Riley, rattles off 28 straight points against Wisconsin to win at home 38-21. He goes 30 for 45, 308 yards, 3 touchdowns. Oh, he might be the real deal, and it sucks. I do not like.
They shut out. USC. Yeah, they shut out Wisconsin in the second half. We're talking about their defense, right? We clown their defense for years, and rightfully so. But
I'll clown them.
They're vastly improved.
Kevin, we're about to have some NFL games kick off. Saints at the Falcons. Falcons look pretty good. Bijan Robinson have a chance to beat the Saints?
He does. You always have a chance with him. But last I saw, he was questionable on
the
depth chart. So I'm not sure on the injury reports. I'm not sure what his status is for today yet.
It's not the best slate of games for me for the NFL this week. Eagles at Buccaneers might be fun. Eagles at Buccaneers, that might be fun. I would be excited about that.
You need to bounce back for Tampa after getting smacked at home by the Broncos last week.
Bills Ravens tonight at 7:20. And do we have
that
another?
Should be good. That actually should be really good.
That could be really good. Do we have 2 Monday night games again?
Yes, and I'm not sure why. But yes, Titans at Miami to play the Dolphins, and then Seattle goes to Detroit.
Any word on Tua Tagovailoa? Is he still out?
He's out.
Is he out for the rest of the year?
Huntley. No, he hasn't been ruled out for the rest of the year. He might be on IR, but I'm not sure. But Tyler Huntley is starting for them.
I'll tell you a surprising game, a sneaky game to keep an eye on, which you might not have thought about early in the season or in the preseason, but Commanders and Cardinals. That could be a good one too.
Yeah, should be an exciting quarterback matchup. I like what I've seen.
What Kyler Murray can do. Dude, for real, Jalen Daniels looks really, really comfortable. He doesn't look rushed. It's like when you look at these rookie quarterbacks, it's the speed overwhelming. Because I kind of think for Caleb Williams with the Bears, he looks just a little rushed, right? That he's trying to catch up to the game. He's constantly playing catch up, decision making, whatever the case may be. Daniels, on the other hand, looks very comfortable. The speed of the game seems to suit him. He's making reads. He's making plays, knows when to hold on to the ball. I like what I see from that kid. But Kyler Murray is having a really quiet, really good year. And it's going to be fun to watch. I think that's a good game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Let's circle back. We're 2 weeks out. Never too early to start talking about it. We said Texas is a 6.5-point favorite against Oklahoma. Surely Quinn Ewers is back in 2 weeks? Any reason to think he's not?
There is not, but you never know. But I've heard nothing about him being out for that game.
Did they hold him out of an abundance of safety, or was he actually hurt?
I've heard he was still dealing with a little bit of soreness. Could he have gone? I don't know, but Sark held him out. I'm not sure how healthy he is right now. I was adamant during the week, if he's healthy, he should have played yesterday, because I would like him to be in some sort of rhythm going into that game. So I don't know. I'm going to trust in Sark on this one.
Does Michael Hawkins having 2 weeks worth of reps leading up to this game give you any pause in your ability to handle the Oklahoma offense?
Well, the threat of him running the football is very concerning. Right? We haven't faced anybody like him this season who can really hurt you. Michigan had Orji. He's more of a power quarterback than a guy who's going to go 80. And we've seen yesterday, Hawkins has the ability to go 80. So if you lose containment, he'll take it to the house against virtually any defense.
Will Texas run 2 spies like Auburn did?
I guess that depends on who's playing receiver for you. I think it's smart against a young quarterback who is looking to run if the first read or the second read isn't there.
Yeah.
You have to keep him in the pocket. You have to. So if that's what it takes, absolutely. I thought it was really good and a great adjustment after that first long touchdown. Because it seemed like you would have thought, okay, this is all day. This is going to be here all day. And Auburn did a good job of keeping him in the pocket. Now, if you have your guys back at receiver, then, it'll give Texas more to have to cover downfield. My biggest concern is not Hawkins. For OU, it's if I'm looking at this through an OU fan's lens, it's my only concern is offensive line. I feel good about Hawkins, at least his ability just to run the offense, and not turn it over and not make bad decisions. Because watching that game, that's what I give the kid credit for yesterday. Is there was not a moment, I don't remember him throwing the ball into traffic or taking an unnecessary sack where he's running around taking one of the 20-yard sacks. But the
only mistake he made, and he might have made others that we're not aware of, right, in terms of reads or whatever, but the big noticeable mistake he made was when he got sacked, or he was about to get sacked, and he threw the ball away. If he holds onto the ball there and there's pass interference called, it's a 15-yard penalty.
Yeah.
So that's something I hope he can clean up in terms of just hold on to the ball. Like, you were never going to get the ball out. It was never going to be not
reach the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, it was never not going to be grounding. Yeah. There was really nothing you could do at that point. Just hold on to the ball.
Game-losing plays.
But no game-losing plays. But
like Arnold in the game against Tennessee, those are game-losing moments. Those are moments that cost you football games.
Out of the 3 turnovers, 2 of them were the worst turnovers I've ever seen in my life.
Correct.
And so, look, Quinn's turned the ball over in the Cotton Bowl.
It happens, yeah. 3, yeah. It was literally the difference in the game, last year.
Quinn's turned the ball over in the Cotton Bowl. I don't think it's reasonable.
Everybody has.
I don't think it's reasonable to think he won't turn it over.
Yeah. Quinn's turned it over. Colt has turned it over. Bradford's turned it over. Baker's turned it over. Kyler's turned it over. It happens.
The big thing for Hawkins, I don't want to predict a turnover, but if he is to turn it over, which I think you would probably predict 1 in the Red River game.
It can happen. Yeah, it happens.
It's when and where. It's when and where the turnover occurs. 2 points. 1, if it's deep in Texas territory, like looking to score, that's a really bad turnover. If it's back against the end zone, that's a stupid turnover.
Yeah, you don't want to get short fields.
If you can take your chance at the 50, okay, we can live to fight another day there. But either one of those, either taking away points off the board for OU or putting points on the board for Texas, that's what you have to avoid more than anything else in this game, is when those turnovers happen. So I don't know. I worry yes, it's the offensive line, but for me, it's the running game. I guess we didn't technically run the ball well last year against you guys, so maybe it's not the end of the world, especially if we can get some quarterback run out of it.
Well, yeah, and that's what surprised us. That Texas did not seem at all prepared for Dylan Gabriel to run the football last year.
They'll be prepared for Michael Hawkins to run the football.
Correct. Yeah.
And then I worry about OU's defense, right? After what I saw Auburn exploit, which you feel like if Hugh Freeze would have just stuck with it, if we can't stop the run of Jaden Blue and Wisner, especially on the left side over there, I worry about that, man. I got to see Stutzman. I see him step up a little bit. McKenzie Lewis looked great, but Stutzman left me kind of with the thinking,
curious,
man.
You think he's banged up? I mean, he's a linebacker, one of the most physical positions on the field. Seemed to have a bigger neck roll on yesterday. Did you see that?
The neck roll looked cool.
He's wearing it for a reason. Yeah, I think he's wearing it for a reason. I mean, I don't think he's out here trying to look like, a 1980s linebacker.
It's a good look, though.
Yeah, it's a cool look for linebackers, but he's wearing it for a reason. So maybe he's got a neck or shoulder issue. So 2 weeks, we'll see. It's good for everybody to get back healthy.
Jarquez Hunter ran through his arms 3 times, which is on Danny Stutzman-like.
Here's what surprised me, too, from that game is Auburn did a really good job of picking up your blitzes.
Through 3 quarters, yeah. Through 3 quarters, they did.
Yeah, because, I mean, even the pick six, that was a simulated pressure. You looked like you were bringing 6, and you didn't. Right? The actual blitzes. I mean, of course, the Robert Spears Jennings blitz on the end. You knew they had to throw deep on that one, but your blitzes usually get there. They were getting there against Tennessee all game long, and Nico was kind of running for his life. But they did a really good job of picking them up, better than I anticipated.
Well, this is where if Arch was playing, I would think would be an advantage for Oklahoma. Because I think we can get to him, just get him confused. I'm not confident that there's enough we can throw at Quinn to confuse him. Does that make sense?
I mean, I'm not. It does.
I'm not sold.
Third-year starter, right?
Experienced offensive line,
correct.
Good play calling coach.
Yeah,
all those things just work in Quinn's benefit. Where with Arch, you're like, oh, well, he had, coughed up the ball a little bit.
He hasn't seen these looks yet.
And he coughed it up against Louisiana Monroe a couple times. Put him in some bad spots. Arch,
he can hold on to the ball for a little long so far. Arch can.
Hey, look, Oklahoma, it took 1 turnover. I think that takes us to, what was the stat they were showing? Have we had 12 turnovers? So that makes 13.
13 now, yeah. 13.
Forced 13 turnovers. I mean, that's huge. That makes up for a lot of ills in the defense. But we've got to nail down our look. Their receivers were good. I don't think they're as good as y'all's.
Yeah, they've got talent out there, but Texas, I think, overall is better.
Although, would you take Hunter or Jaden Blue? Hunter looked really good running the ball.
He looked really good. Really good. And yeah, Jaden Blue hasn't been great yet this season. And I think some of our fans are still questioning if he is a actual number 1 guy. Or if he's more a change of pace running back, which is what he was last year.
Look,
because if you think about it, he was third. So a third running back last year behind Jonathan Brooks and CJ Baxter.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be kind of a split deal with him and Baxter this year before Baxter got hurt. So now he's been elevated. Wisner was better just mainly because
he didn't fumble.
Held on to the football. Yes. Because the running lanes were there yesterday. Because the offensive line was sloppy, though. We had a bunch of holding penalties. We had some pre-snap stuff that we had a lot last year and we hadn't really had this year. So we got a lot to clean up, which I'm glad, man. We've been on cruise control so far this season, right? We haven't been in any kind of close games at all. Even the Michigan game wasn't close. So hopefully this is more of a wake-up call, and coaches have a lot to, to show the team, a lot to clean up going into this game, which is good coming off of a win. I'd rather have a sloppy win than a sloppy loss like Ole Miss yesterday or Utah. So I'll take it.
Oh, yeah, you take the win. Here's the deal. I don't want to spend the next 2 weeks talking about all the guys that could come back for Oklahoma and the difference that can make. But I do want to spend like the next about 3 or 4 minutes before we close this episode out, kind of in garbage time, right, if you will, of this podcast. Oklahoma, if they could get Dason McCullough back, Taylor Tatum back, Deion Burks back, Nick Anderson back, that's huge.
Massive, yeah.
That is huge. Now, the one that I think, I mean, I do not know what's going on with McCullough. We haven't seen him all year. He hasn't even tried to go. So again, anything beyond this next 5 minutes thinking Dason McCullough is going to play is probably not very profitable. And then Nick Anderson tried to go against Tennessee, pulled himself out.
That one's more confusing than any other one.
Yeah, I just don't know. But I think in order to have a chance against Texas, we got to see Taylor Tatum and Deion Burks. Like, that's a minimum. Those guys have to be back. We have to have them. I sure would feel good if we had a 90% Nick Anderson and a 90% Dason McCullough. We saw what McCullough did against you guys last year.
Yeah, he was
especially good. with Jatavion Sanders. We know what Gunnar Helm's about. We got to have a big dude that's can stick with him. Dason McCullough is that big guy that can run with the tight end and cover.
Yes.
I say that. I don't know what he's hurt with. Maybe he's not. I don't know. So on your injury report, you guys are staying pretty healthy.
For the most part, yeah.
Outside your running backs early in the year.
Yeah. So far so good.
Did the safeties that we were concerned about, did they play?
Derek Williams was out. Michael Taft actually got injured in the game with a stinger. But we're pretty deep there, so I felt good about the guys we had out there, but we would like to have Derek Williams back for OU. And Michael Taft, we'll definitely need him to be healthy as well.
Oh, man. 2 weeks. I can't wait, Kevin. It's going to be legit. It's the biggest game of the year, and it's shaping up to be that way. And Oklahoma getting that win, it's going to have momentum. Texas getting Quinn back should have the momentum. It's going to be. I think it's good. I think it could be a really, really good test for Texas, right?
It's our biggest test of the season. Like I care more about this game than I do Georgia. I don't care if Georgia, and this has nothing to do. I was hoping they'd be number one in the country, even if they were undefeated. This game means way more to me. I don't hope we beat Georgia, but the Red River Shootout is more important. Beating Oklahoma is more important to me than beating Georgia the next week is. It has to be.
I think it has to be. There's just too much on the line. And I don't know, man. I'm nervous already. It's September 29th. I'm nervous in September for a game that's happening on October 12th.
It's a big deal, man.
Liz, I don't even know. All right. Hey, Kevin, it's been a great show. Good wins by both schools. A little Sooner magic thrown on top of it. You can't ask for more. Georgia and Alabama. Are you kidding me? Kentucky, Ole Miss. Stop it. I mean, it just kept going on and on.
That's why we love this game. That's why we love college football.
Just a hell of a week of college football. Kevin, go enjoy the NFL. Have a great Sunday. Boomer.
Okay.